Watching a reboot of any long untouched IP can be very risky. In some cases, you end up with a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but in others, you end up with a Berserk. Trigun Stampede is an anime that originally aired in January of 2023 that you probably have heard a fair bit about at this point. With the original Trigun adaptation from the late 90s being hailed as a cult classic by a large portion of the anime community, it's no shock that this primarily CGI prequel/reimagining made waves when it came out. There was a lot of skepticism surrounding this show, but the overall consensus after its release was that it was a pretty good adaptation, with some creative changes and actually good-looking CGI. But as someone who has never watched or read the original Trigun, how does this series hold up for a completely new viewer? Do I need context to truly appreciate this series? Or is it enjoyable as a layman? With the second season, Trigun Stargaze, releasing in less than a month, now seemed like the perfect time to finally give the show a shot. So was Trigun Stampede Season 1 any good? The answer is a resounding yes. This show is awesome and feels really different from most of the stuff being released nowadays. But before I get too much into why I like this series, let me give you a brief rundown of what Trigun Stampede is all about. We open following a ship floating through space, an ark of sorts, full of cryogenically frozen people. However, before we get any time to really take in the sights, the ship experiences a critical failure, with parts of it exploding. We learn that we're seeing the backstory of our main character, Vash, and his twin brother, Knives. We then jump to the present, following two reporters who quickly encounter Vash, hanging upside down in the middle of the desert. These reporters are Meryl Streep and Roberto De Niro. Despite initially being after the bounty on his head, and the story surrounding it, they opt to instead bring him to the nearest town, where they find that he's hailed as a sort of local legend due to his good deeds. This sets the stage for the rest of our season: an outlaw who only wants to do good for those around him, a brand new journalist who gets too invested too quickly, and a veteran journalist who tries and fails to bring any semblance of reasoning to the group. And that's an introduction to Trigun Stampede. I said it'd be brief, right? With all the good things I heard about Trigun Stampede over the last few years, I'd be lying if I said I had no expectations going into the show. I expected a solid watch that would, at a minimum, keep me mildly entertained. But what I got instead was a show that, once picked up, I just couldn't put back down. It felt like a truly unique concept that I hadn't seen done ever before. Trying to come up with shows that encapsulate both the sci-fi and old Western genres at the same time is not something that I can easily think up. Its ground not often tread. It's kind of like a Borderlands game got an anime adaptation. There's a general upbeat tone as you're going from episode to episode with these overly optimistic characters, but there's this overarching underlying sense of dread as bad things keep happening to our party of characters. It's a show that's forthcoming about what it is. It doesn't try to lull you in with an interesting premise and then make you sit through a slog of side stories. It's just good. And don't get me wrong, I understand the worries that were initially surrounding this show. It only makes sense that seeing a show with an already established cult following getting a primarily CGI reboot is bound to cause alarm. Not to mention the history surrounding prequels being made for already established sci-fi IPs. Looking at you, Star Wars. But past the general "they made changes to the series" critiques, I also understand being frustrated by a show whose main character tries to solve conflict without violence. I mean, we're in an action show set in this insane Mad Max-esque landscape, and Vash has no desire to actually harm anyone. It can be annoying, but at the same time, his strong moral compass is his defining character trait. It's what separates him from Knives. His unique perspective is integral to the decisions he makes, and the way he solves problems. That's why having this group of characters with contrasting viewpoints is such a valuable thing here, because even if you find yourself frustrated with how Vash is trying to resolve a situation, you can hear that addressed directly on screen. What it comes down to is that Trigun Stampede is a series worth your time. If you've watched the original Trigun, then you can still hop into the series and gain something of value, context that wasn't present within the original story. But if you're a purist and only like the original series, I get it. Not every show has to be for every viewer. These videos simply encapsulate my personal opinions about shows and whether or not you should check them out. But Trigun Stampede is one of the ones you should check out. It's a reimagining done right. It's apt for new viewers and returning viewers alike. And with Trigun Stargaze right around the corner, you really have nothing to lose giving the show a shot. And while it may not be for everyone, I believe that it's a must-watch. Hey everyone, I just want to say thank you if you made it this far into the video. I really appreciate it. Do you agree with my take that Trigun Stampede is a solid addition to the series? Or do you think it's just awful? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I read them all. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. And as always, have a great day.